And we are back.
All right, sorry, we understood from Facebook that we were upside down, but we seem to have righted ourselves. And we are back with Jeff Witjas. Please like our page, please share it, give us hearts. This is from Chris O'Reilly. Where are you, Chris? Okay, up there. Okay. In your opinion, how much does social media and original content play into an actor's success?
I think all facets of your career play into decision making. I mean, talent's number one, but I think studios, networks, buyers do look at that to see how many followers you have.
Okay.
And it can be important at the right time.
Thank you. This is from Chaz. Where are you? Right there. What are the most important attributes that an actor should have in order to have a long and successful career?
Probably a good second job, so you're making money. I think you have to have knowledge and education. That's number one. You got to have a strong foundation. I think it's important to have a good support team around you. You know, it's not a easy road at times being an actor, or in most professions really. And you have to have, I mean, I go back to, you gotta have talent. You gotta have talent. So, that's the key.
Cool. Thank you. I think a number of people know that you represent Betty White. What do you think is her key to longevity? What's it been?
I would say that Betty is one of the funniest people you'd ever want to meet. That's number one. And I think extremely humble. She's never taken this industry for granted. Every job she works at 100%. Never walks through a job. And she's just an unbelievably great individual. Which is nice, because sometimes you see a stage side of somebody and a private side is totally different. Betty is the same both ways. She's great.
When you send an actor in on an audition, what do you expect from them in terms of their preparation?
Well, one, I expect them to get the role. I don't, to be honest, I love sports, okay?
Are you a Red Sox fan? Not with that accent. Oh, Jeff.
It was a dangerous time.
So many years of friendship.
I'm actually, I kind of like the Cubs, actually.
Okay. Actually, what
was the question?
Actor's preparation.
Coming from sports, I don't get, think about this, if you want to talk baseball, if you're a baseball player and you're a hitter, and you hit the ball, great hit, it goes all the way out to center field, but the center fielder catches the ball on the warning track. It's still an out. No matter how you look at it, it's an out. I have a certain high expectation of those I represent, that when they go in the room, I don't even think about preparation. That's a given to me. You know, it's getting the role. Can you audition properly? You're a good auditioner, because that's so important in this business today. Or can you self-tape very well? But are you a winner? Can you get the role? Because if you get the role, can you deliver when you're on screen? Because often today, actors get the roles, but they're replaced because they're just not nailing it when the chips are down. You have to be your best when the best is needed, all right? And a lot of people are not. They get nervous, they get tense, you know, all understandable, but you have to know how to channel that into positiveness and deliver. So I understand everybody doesn't get a role when they go in, There are various reasons, maybe outside of your control. But at least then, the feedback is very strong. You've made a statement in the room to the buyers that this person is really good. This is not the perfect role for them. Okay, now we got something to work on.
Do you check for feedback?
All the time. All the time. You have to. Because, as you know, agents, there's a little bit of pressure on agents from clients once in a while. How come I'm not working? How come I'm not getting these roles? Well, you got to track this. Because if a client's gone in many, many times, they don't get the role. Somehow it's still the agent's fault. You know, so so I always like to track it, and you know, I'm a positive guy. I don't want to discourage a client, but at the right time, they've got to know reality, that they're not cutting it. So honesty is probably the most important thing.
Do you expect the actors to memorize their auditions? How do you feel about memorizing versus not?
It depends. It really depends more on the casting director in that case. I think it's to know the role. You own the role before you go in. You know, so if memorizing is the way you want to do it, then that's great.
What makes a good tape in terms of how it's shot? Self-tape.
I would think good lighting helps. You know, I've seen some tapes where I don't know where the actor was. So I asked them, are you doing a voiceover? It's got to be clear. It's got to be natural. Don't have other people in the scene, whether it's your kids running around in the background. Have you seen that? I've seen a couple. You know, things happen, but that's not the tape you send in. I look at all the self-tapes before I submit them. You know, and if I don't think it's really right on to the role, I'll tell the client maybe you should just redo it if you can. But it's put your best foot forward in that self-tape. It's a different process today, you know, these self-tapes. Growing up in the business, you go face to face with the casting directors, with the actors. And sometimes you're not sure if the buyer really looks at the self-tape. And when are they looking at the self-tape? They're looking at it late at night, when they're a little bit tired, are they distracted? So you've got to keep the buyer on point in watching these things too. So,
what about a regular tape for purposes of sending out? What should it include? How long should it be? What type of stuff? Should they have a separate comedy reel, a separate drama reel? What do you think?
well, I sort of do that too. I'm surely not going to send a drama tape out if it's a comedy role. And I really don't want to burden the person who's looking at the tape with material that's not necessarily important for this particular role. So I will do that homework beforehand and maybe edit some of the tape, send the comedy material over to the buyer. You know, so links, I use links more than anything else. The old-time composite tape, you know, no one has time really to look at 6-7 minute tape. I mean, if you're putting one together, 2-3 minutes, 3 minutes may be enough. But even of that, I'll take out what I think is right for a specific role and show that, nothing else.
It was in fashion for a while to start with a montage of different looks.
Yeah, and that's what the beta tape too.
Only a few, thank you, Paula. Only a few people in the room got that, but thank you.
I hate to say it, but, well, no, it's not, I hate to say it, I'm saying it. When I started, there was electricity though. There was electricity. But we used to have the tapes that we had, we would send over by messenger. There was no way of sending it over via, you know, internet. So things have changed.
Yeah.
I actually have a telephone in my office now. Just got a telephone.
Not the
I'm teasing.
cup anymore?
The cup.
Come
That's how I
along.
used to call you, yeah.
Please like our page. Please share our page. Please give us hearts. Send us your questions. We're taking questions from the live studio audience and also from Facebook. So if you have questions for Mr. Witjas, please send them in. This is from Anna Chang. Where is she? There. Okay. And that is, before approaching a large agency, is it better to wait for more credits? Will going in once reduce my chances in the future of gaining representation at the same agency?
That's a good question. I get a lot of emails. I don't know from where they come. They just come from all over. And I am a bit surprised that they would feel, certain actors would feel that they belong, with us. And you're right. I would wait until you feel you have the right material to show. First of all, I don't want you to wasting time. I don't like to look at things when all of you have ever played was, atmosphere in a show, if you know what I mean. If it's something really, really good that you're really proud of and you really stand out, I would show that one thing. But if you don't have it, you don't have that home run material, save it. Save it for when you're ready. If you're good, the time will come that you can show it.
Is it better for them to stay with a smaller agency and build up the credits before they approach APA?
If it's the right small agency, if they're really servicing you properly, you have to find somebody, an agency, a manager, small agency, who believes in you, who has passion to go out and sell you. No matter how many times they get no, they have to keep going. And it can be in a small agency, so find the right person or people.
And Anonymous asked this, and you'll see why it's anonymous. The anonymous question was, if submitting to a new agency for representation, should you submit with the old agency's logo on the resume, or should you leave it off? Thank you, Anonymous. I see why you would ask it that way, in case your agent is watching.
Well, I personally don't care. Obviously, you're reaching out because something is missing in your life and your career. If in the interview, that question would be asked anyhow. Who were you with? Who have you been with? And why wasn't it working? So I have no problem with that. I'm going to look at the materials, look at the talent in front of me, so it's okay.
This is from Cherie. Where are you? There you are. In your opinion, what is the best way for aspiring actors to create relationships with agencies? I've heard some actors send flowers and letters, emails constantly, while others say it is inappropriate. What do you think?
Depends on the flowers. Don't send weeds, things like that. Honestly, no, gifts, I mean, per the question, no, it doesn't work. Save your money. Obviously, a lot of you are struggling to just make it on all sides. So don't spend money on us. It's if you have the talent and you're ready to be a client, we'll make plenty of money, by getting you the roles. So,
in terms of managers, just in general, what makes a good manager? What is annoying to you?
I'm very manager friendly. The more people on your team that are speaking your name, the better it is. Love managers who are proactive. That they come into the picture with ideas and projects that they've heard of, and you collaborate with them pursuing projects. There are also some managers that just wait until the agent does what they do and then they talk to the client. I think that's not worth the 10%. It's a team. The business is tougher today, And the word business is very important. It's a business. So everybody on the team has to work together on all cycles. Very important.
Please like our page, please give us hearts, please share our page. We're taking questions from the live audience, also from Facebook.
This goes with the last question.
Okay, this is from Facebook, from Crystal Carson, who's also an audition and acting coach. Hi, Crystal. Are you more likely to sign talent that needs development if they come with a manager who you like?
Well, we're all human. If you have great respect in that manager, and you know that manager's taste, even though the client is developmental, you ask yourself the question, why is the manager representing this person? And again, if you see the track record with this particular manager, you might be more inclined to take a shot. Again, you know, at APA, it's a committee, you know, we sit and discuss everyone who's a potential client. So it's not just my decision, it's a democracy, everybody weighs in. If I have a particular passion, you know, for an individual, you know, we get extra points for that. But yes, if a manager, we do work with the manager, it helps.
What about actors creating their own material, such as web series? And is that anything that you look at? Does that help?
If they show it to me, it might be helpful. I mean, look, you are the CEO of your life, you know, and you gotta take control, whether you have an agent, manager, publicist, attorney. You can't hand it over to anybody at any time. You've got to be proactive with yourself and keep creating, you know, hyphenates, you know, an actor, hyphenate writer, hyphen producer, whatever. It's very important. So, yeah, I mean, if somebody put together a website, I'd look at it.
This is from Facebook. The actors' day-to-day tools for submitting to roles and for representation have changed a lot recently. How has your day-to-day changed when pitching clients, and how can a client help and supplement your efforts?
Well, the number one thing is to have the credits that gives me the ammunition to sell. I mean, that's really the most important thing. I mean, what's changed is you don't have as much face-to-face with the buyers like you used to have. So you have to develop those relationships, you know, as an agent over the years. And in days back, you know, if I would be working on a project, I would have my submission. I would walk or drive over, you know, with the horse and buggy over into
The hitching post.
yes, something like that. Yes, into the office of the buyer and just sit and sell face to face. You know, I love that. I mean, you get your answers right away. Today, I mean, a lot of times you'll, you know, go over on the internet and send your submission a lot of times to the buyer, and then you'll get on the phone to discuss it and break it down. But it's not as much face to face, so you have to be really persistent with whom you're selling. You know, it's easier to be lazy today by just submitting a list to a buyer and hoping they will pick off that list who they think is right. You can't give them that kind of power. You know, you've got to take the names off there that you really feel are right for the role, get them on the phone and talk to casting. But we don't just talk to casting, we talk to the producers, we talk to the director, we talk to the studio, the network, about a particular name that is right as well.
This goes with that. This is from Facebook. What's a typical day in your life as an agent? If there is a typical day.
One thing is you have to expect the unexpected. I do my homework at night. You know, I have my ledger book, which people make fun of, you know, but it works for me. Obviously, my assistant gives me, you know, an internet printout, but I like to go home at night, go over my strategy for the next day. I like to rethink what I need to do and what needs priority. So I walk in with that, thinking my first call, and then you can get a call from a client on a set that there's a major problem, and you have to jump into it right away. So that throws it off. But you still have to get back to the strategy of everybody else. See, that's why I have white hair. I didn't for a while until you have to juggle everything, and you have to know how to do that. And you have to know what's priority, and this goes back to the developmental situation. You know, if a client's developmental, it takes a lot of work to move a client like that around the town. So that client's gotta be really, really special. You know, because when things like this come up in an agent's day, you've got to go with a priority, especially with the clients who are making the money for the office. It's just the way it is. So somehow it all gets done. I still return everybody's phone call every day.
You do?
Yeah, I still do. You know, or I'll answer it. It may be at 11:58, but I still will get an answer back via the internet. I always do.
Do you have, at APA, do you divide the studios and the casting offices? And
Yes, we have territories, and everybody is accountable to each other for that territory. So that means projects that are actually casting and projects that are in development, you should know what's ever at that particular marketplace. And we have meetings twice a week. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We go over all television, which has enlarged greatly, you know, over the last handful of years. It used to be where the summer was off as far as television. Now, it's almost as busy as pilot season. So, which is great. So television twice a week. One day in addition, we do independent films, and the next time we do studio films. So everything is covered, and every agent is, you know, on the carpet if they don't, you know, give the information.
back in the day, there was a dividing line between television and film. Do you think that's blurred now?
Huh. It's so blurred. You can do a commercial today, and if it's the right commercial, it can help you in your career too. I mean, look at television, look at some of the major stars that are promoting product. You'll find the commercials are more creative with those particular stars. It isn't like they're really pushing a product, it's very subtle, and that's smart too. I bet that the actor is involved with that decision making. But I don't think there are any rules anymore, to tell you the truth. Just be good at whatever you're doing.
Please like our page, please share our page, please send in your questions. This is from Facebook. Is there anything in terms of social media that you do not want your clients to do or post?
Well, any secrets maybe? You know, once you put it out there, it's out there. So you've got to think twice about what you're doing. You know, it's the same thing about the internet. Sometimes psychologically you feel, well, it's just going to one person. Well, you know that email can be channeled to who knows how many people, and you're never going to know. So you've just got to be smart with what you put out on social media. And you don't want it to come back to haunt you years later in your career or in your private life.
This is from Shay Detmore, there she is. For developmental clients you've taken on or met with, what has caught your attention? What got them in the room in the first place?
Well, it's one particular person I'm thinking about right now. It came through a recommendation, and he and I are still together today. He's a huge star, and it's just that feeling. Sometimes you can't just really explain it, you know, why is one baseball player, hitter better than another? You know, they see the ball better, you know? So as an agent, you just
Chris
have an
Sale.
instinct. Sorry?
Chris Sale is a pitcher. Mookie Betts, JD Martinez, that's what you're talking about.
I know Chris is, I know where he pitches, I know. But he started his career.
He was a pitcher in softball, by the way.
That's true. Very competitive, by the way.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Chris Sale's, yeah, but he started his career somewhere else. All right, so it wasn't homegrown.
All right, back to the acting.
I love it.
You got me on that, fine.
But it is, go back, I mean, I'll tell you, the client that came in that way many years ago was Jason Momoa. Jason Momoa walked in my office, and we just bonded. I mean, he's a fabulous guy, and great sense of humor, very, very bright. And to this day, Jason had asked, in fact, if Australia's looking in here, which you are, Jason shot Aquaman there. So, and I was there while I was shooting some of it. But first thing Jason had asked me was, how do you like my hair? Now, Jason's about 6'4", 6'5", big guy. I was hoping I wasn't gonna answer it wrong. But I said to him, why are you asking me this? I mean, your hair looks fine to me. He had long dreads at the time, you know? And he said, because everybody I've met with said, if I don't cut my hair, I'm never gonna work in this town. Honestly, I said, you look fine to me. I mean, I don't know why anybody would say that to you. And from then on, you know, we just, honestly, we just bonded. I just believed in him. He had that passion. When he walks in a room, you can't say no to him. You know, and that's a quality that most people don't have, because he delivers on what he says. And obviously, you know, look where he is now. We're on the verge of, you know,
Really?
future.
Yeah.
Doing great
Well,
stuff.
I think that your point is so important. He wasn't trying to figure out with you what they might want. You were looking at him and saying, okay, this is it. I can run with this, as opposed to trying to contort. I think so many give up their power because they're trying to figure out how to be whatever it is.
Well, that's an excellent point, because Jason is his own man. Always will be, and was then too. I mean, he's smart, he'll take advice, he'll collaborate, but you don't tell him. If you say to him, don't do this, you'll never get this role, or whatever it is, he'll just prove you wrong. And that's, when he came in, I didn't look at any videos that he did, because he really hadn't worked that much. He worked a little bit. But I just knew I could sell him. You know, and that's really the most important thing. I just believed in him.
This is from Facebook. Do you ever attend plays as a way of scoping out new talent? Do you recommend that as a way for actors to be seen? Or do you feel there is a better way for actors to be discovered if they have few credits?
I have great respect in the theater. I think that's one of the toughest part of our business. I mean, there's no editing of what you do. You're in front of a live audience. It's just that LA is not, as they say, a theater town, so it's not easy to get people to come out unless the play is getting some buzz, and maybe you can. If it's a role that you're really, really proud of, that really shows who you are, you know, and maybe you bring me some flowers. Who knows? Who knows? But I never say never. My whole career, I just do whatever it takes to do it. You know, and that's always been my attitude. You know, when you get busier as an agent, it's harder just to spend a night at a theater, but that's part of the job. It's important to go out and support your clients when they're working, but for new developmental, there has to be an overriding reason to do it. You know?
Please like our page, please share our page, please give us hearts, send in your questions. This is another one from Facebook, so we are asking Mr. Witjas your questions. I've heard you say how important it is for actors to listen to their agents. What are some faux pas actors have made by not listening to you? And we only have another.
That's funny because I have like a little fun one I sometimes use. I would say I used to, my first client was Abraham Lincoln.
I taught him. That was a good class.
Yeah. Is that, you know, I told him not to go see that play that night.
Oh, God.
I told him, you know, Washington wasn't a theater town, so it wasn't really, but he didn't listen. I don't, look, what we are trusted advisors to our clients. A client doesn't have to follow whatever we say, but why be with a particular agent or an agency if you don't at least listen to an agent's advice? Often a client, you know, may not go in for a reading, or maybe an offer comes in that the client doesn't want to accept. You know, I mean, we may know about the producers or how the film is going to be marketed or things like that, and if the client still feels it's not right for them, I support them. I'm not gonna, you know, there's just so far you can go. I'm not gonna say, you know, you're not gonna be my client anymore. You've got to support.
I'm going to ask this question on behalf of the Australian studio. We haven't gotten your questions yet. Australia, wake up. But this is for all international students who do an American accent that might be called for in a role. Should they go in the interview portion in their own accent and then switch? Or should they stay in the accent that's called for the entire time? What would you think?
For me, I would come in from whatever country you're from and speak the way you normally would speak. I probably would ask in the room, can you lose the accent and can you do an American accent? Because, I mean, if you're going to do television, there are a lot of roles that require that. So I want to know who the person is. I want to know things about the person that maybe they haven't told their mother and father. You know, whatever it helps me to sell them helps, and especially if they don't have a lot of credits. I need a hook. I need something to hang on to that's unique to sell.
And if somebody's going into casting, would you think speak in what's being cast or speak in your own accent and then change for the casting director?
Well, a lot of times we'll ask ahead of time, how do you want a certain accent here or not? So we go off of that. A lot of times actors who are from foreign countries will go in with the American accent and the buyer never knows that they're from another country. So sometimes that works too.
This is from Olivia, who's a music manager. Is Olivia here? Oh, there.
Hi.
I'm a music manager with a client who is an incredible actor. He's been focusing the last 3 years on his music alone. As his manager, I'm hoping he will reintegrate acting into his career. What's the best way to support a musician-first actor? How should I guide him to the most prevalent opportunities?
Well, I would say that is your client, does he have or she have the ability to act? Can they play something other than themselves? Because the worst thing you can do is send them in for an acting role and they're just so far off that they either embarrass themselves and you lose a little credibility in sending them in. So be sure they've done a little bit of homework, you know, with classes, and they know the process. I represent music acts, and we send them in for acting, and some are naturally gifted because they've been in front of the audience for so long. But they have the little, you've got to be careful with the roles. You know, if you can fit the role very close to the personality of the musician, that helps a lot. But I know music, it's in our business, music acts want to act, actors want to do music. It's, you know, it's always, which is great. You always want to do something you don't have, really.
Right.
You know, but you got to be good at it, and if you want your client to have a career and some longevity in acting, just be sure they're prepared for it.
Thank you. We're taking questions from Facebook, written questions from the studio audience. Please like our page, please share our page, please send in your questions. This is from Ken Jackson. Where are you, Ken? Okay. What's your biggest advice to someone just entering into the industry with absolutely no experience?
Well, first question you ask yourself, I guess, is why? Why do you want it? I mean, do you really want it that much? How hard will you really want to work at becoming good at what you do? You obviously feel you fit in the industry. Do you know where you want to fit in? I would surely take classes, you know, to start. Do everything possible to be ready for the opportunities. You know, I'll go back to my sports analogies. If you happen to not be a starting player on a team and you're sitting on the bench, you know, but you're still in the major leagues, you've got, when the manager says you're getting up to the plate, are you going to be ready? There's no excuses that you've been sitting on the bench for 8 innings. He throws you in the game, 9th inning, he expects you to get the hit. So it's the same thing here. If you have the opportunity, are you going to deliver? So you have to have the right skills in order to do it. You look like you can play baseball.
So we're saying the Red Sox in 4? Okay.
Maybe, but not this year.
Oh! This interview is over. Okay. This is from Luke. Where are you, Luke? Okay, here's one of our Australians. Are you approached by talent consultants? And what is your opinion about talent consultants?
Talent consultants. I haven't heard that.
I don't know what that is.
They help you find an agent.
Oh, so they get a fee for that?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I do actually, now thinking about it, I do know somebody who does that. They get a fee just to set up an interview, is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I'd be careful about it. You know, I mean, are they really setting you up with someone who's right for you? Or are they just setting you up because, I mean, if the consultant seems to have the way of finding interesting people, I guess it's all right, from my point of view. But I still would, I check the material before anybody comes in anyhow. So, from whatever source it comes from. But for you, I'd just be a little bit careful. It's just not a meeting, so someone else can make money.
Thank you.
There are all sorts of scams where people are trying to make money off of actors.
Yeah, I think it's less and less now, which is good.
Because internet, people expose it.
Yeah, I mean, if an agent ever says to you, if you pay me X amount of money, or the agency, and will work for you, that's not an agency to go with, absolutely. We only make money when you make money.
Yes, because I've heard of managers who charge.
It's not really fair, it's not right. I mean, look, when you're at the beginning level, I have to say that there's a certain amount of desperation, unfortunately, that comes through. You know, you want it so bad that you'll make decisions that are not in your best interest sometimes, and people take advantage of people at that time. So it's absolutely wrong. So just keep your eyes open for any scams.
This is from Facebook. Jeff, you mentioned needing a hook or something unique to sell a client who may not have many credits. Can you give an example of what that might be? For example, is it a special skill, a personality type, etc.?
No, it's actually a hook. I'm big on hooks, I can't
You
help
did
it.
represent Captain Hook, did you?
That's true. Is there something you've done? I mean, it's something that it's only unique to you, whatever it may be, that could help in the field that you want to go out for. Could be a director, could be a writer, you know. At the end of the day, you're gonna have to deliver. It just gets you in the room, possibly. It's not gonna get you the role. But I'm trying to think of what necessarily would be a good hook for you guys. You know, it's all right, maybe if you're going out for a sports movie and that particular sport you had played in college or somewhere, it helps. You understand, you know, the overall material, that helps. So it's something unique that only you have that could be sold.
What about special skills? Should they list everything, or does anything ever pop out? Somebody does accents, horseback riding, fencing. Do any of those things matter when you're looking at a resume?
A little bit, but that's not gonna make me sign somebody. I love a lot of times drive a car. Have a, you know, I guess that's important so you can get to your auditions. Maybe they thought the agent actually has a service that takes you there. I don't know. No, I look at everything. I mean, look, it's when you're putting together your resume, obviously you're looking for something that's going to get the interest of who's looking at it. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so you're putting in the kitchen sink, basically, hoping that one thing on there is going to work. But I go back. I mean, it's talent. It's just basic talent. You know, that you are ready for this journey of acting in your life. So if you think there is something of your hobbies that you do that might come up in roles, you know, if you're a great you know, fighter of some kind, you're tough, okay. If you boxed or something like that, or you wrestled, you know, something physical, that's sometimes good. Whatever you think is important, but don't, you know.
Don't be silly about it.
Right. That's right.
This is from our own Ian Cardoni. I watched the commencement speech you gave at WSCL and loved your list of 25 reasons your career has longevity. I wonder if you have a similar list for actors.
I probably can put one together. Yes. Where did you see the speech?
It was posted online.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's on YouTube. They posted it.
Yeah, no, I surely didn't. I know I didn't. You know, there's nothing that's secret anymore.
Right.
I was very proud of that. I was honored actually by the law school in giving the commencement speech this year, but I thought I was just talking to the room. Yes, I mean I could probably come up with a number of things that an actor needs to do. You know, basically be prepared. Deliver. You know, it probably goes back to a lot of things I've said in some of my answers. Just know how to win. Know how to audition. I hate excuses, you know, personally. It's hard for an actor to look at themselves in the mirror and say it's not going so well. You know, I've seen this over the years, and it's always somebody else that's sort of wrong. You gotta take a hard look at yourself and know where you are and know what you need to do for yourself to get to that place that you wanna get. And if you believe in yourself, because having confidence is probably right up there near the top. And I also think having a sense of humor. You know, this is not life or death. This is supposed to be a fun business. That's why they call it show business. And a lot of times you're not gonna get the roles that you're going after. That's okay. You have to give a good effort, and you'd be surprised. In the moment you may say, I'm very depressed I didn't get this role. But often you'll look at the role when it comes out, or the project, and maybe the project bombs. So you say to yourself, you know, I dodged a bullet. You know, so you don't always know at the time. But you just have to be ready for the opportunities and know how to deliver.
This goes with that. This is from Facebook, and that is, you've been talking a lot about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think is the mindset of a winner?
You almost have to put blinders on. When you're you're competing. This is a competition. You're competing against other actors. What makes you better than someone else? I always, you know, remember what Kobe Bryant said, because I really admire him so much about how he played the game of basketball, is that he worked harder than anybody else. When practice was over, he wouldn't go off and just do what some of the other guys would do. He would stay and practice. And he would practice until he was satisfied, if he ever was satisfied, with his game. It's the same thing in acting. You can never be satisfied. There's always something else you can do to be better than you are now. And you've got to keep driving yourself, even when it looks hopeless. Because this is a strange business. You could be in a valley one day, and the next day, a role can come up that you go in for, and all of a sudden, you're in another stratosphere in the business. So I'm telling you, it can happen. So you can't give up.
Have you seen that happen where somebody was about to quit and it turned?
Not necessarily quit, but I have seen careers where they're stalled. And there are actors who are quite good, but for whatever reason, it's stalled. And with one of my clients, great actor, great guy, none of the roles are really exploding him the way that it should have. One came along, and he's not a lead of an NBC show for the last 6 years. A lead ensemble player. So, sort of, there are other examples I can give, but he was ready for it. He was so ready for it. And the role fit like a glove. So.
Right. We're coming into the final segments. Please send in your questions on Facebook. Please like our page. Please share our page. Give us hearts. We've got just a little wonderful time left with Mr. Jeff Witjas. This is from Gina Sim. There she is. Have you ever represented someone who refuses to do nudity for projects they feel are beyond their boundaries? When is this conversation appropriate?
Refuses to do nudity. See, Betty White always wants to do it. You have to restrain. I said, Betty, no, this role does not have it. I don't know if I want to do it. Nudity is the right of the actor, whether they want to do it or not. And if the role, you'll find that most cable shows today require actors to possibly do nudity. Many of them do. So you have to negotiate it out in the beginning. SAG, Screen Actors Guild, also protects the actors. You can't just be thrust into a situation. And you could always use body doubles in some cases. There was a series years ago that the actress did not want to do nudity, and myself and her attorney, we negotiated a rider, a specific rider, how shots could be done if there was nudity. And once the series started, she did nudity right away. You know, it's like she was okay all of a sudden. But at least you have protection in negotiating your rider out. So, I don't know, is that answering the question? I mean,
specifically with the agent. When's the conversation appropriate with a future agent or somebody that you're speaking with for possible representation?
I don't think it has to come up at all. Nudity I don't have it on my list, you know, as one of the requirements. If a project comes up that it requires nudity at that time, discuss it with the client, and then we go from there.
This is also from Facebook, and it is, seemingly there's quite a bit of emphasis at the moment on diversity. And should someone play up an ethnic heritage, is this a good time to do that?
Well, I think it's long coming. I mean, it should have been done years ago, but Hollywood is definitely a diverse town with projects now. Yes, and if someone has a background of diversity in some way, I would tell the agent, because it can be utilized. There's still plenty of Caucasian roles, but diversity in every project is prevalent. That's the way it is.
We're going to wrap up. Do you have any final thoughts or anything that we haven't covered that you want to share?
I've been an agent for about 41 years, and I could not think of a better career choice on my behalf. I think it's the most exciting business. You meet exciting people, you can create projects, you know, you can do just about anything you want to do in this industry. That's how I look at it for myself. And there have been times that it's not easy. I mean, you could, as an agent, you can work very hard for someone, and for whatever reason, they decide they want to move on someplace else. That's pretty hard, but my track record is pretty good overall. But I love what I do. I come in every day loving what I do, and I still do. I still have that thrill of victory when a client gets a role, and I suffer their emotion when they don't get something they want. If I lose that, then I might as well find another career. And I know when it's time to step aside. And I know how much it means to actors to achieve what they want. But I think, as I've said a little bit, no matter how deep the valley, you've got to figure out how you climb out of it. There's got to be a way of climbing out of it. If you're with representation, that's not helping you, then you've got to leave that representation. Don't stay with somebody because at least you can say, I have an agent or a manager, whomever. If they're not doing anything for you, it's not worth it. And then you're going to get something, and they're going to reap the benefits. Something's wrong with that. So you will find the right support team if you keep at it and keep pushing yourself to get better. And you got a lot. I mean, you got a lot of time. I mean, if you're working at it every day, think of new ways to do it. Sometimes it is social media. Sometimes it is the internet. Be creative for how you get ahead and find an agent. But I'll tell you, once you're on track, there's nothing better. Nothing better than this business. You know, and you don't have to. Again, everybody has certain levels of success. It doesn't have to be the lead of a network series or a lead in a movie. Maybe an ensemble player in a series is fine. Doing a whole bunch of episodic is fine. Whatever your definition of success is, it's okay. But enjoy it. It's your life. You only have so many years to live. Enjoy what you're doing, and if it doesn't work, if you come to the conclusion, maybe I just don't have it, at least you tried. There's nothing wrong with trying and not succeeding at something. You know, it's worse if you didn't try. At least you know. So just keep at it. As I say, it's a wonderful business, and when you make it, it pays a few of the bills.